Hey guys, welcome back to Olivia's podcast. We're gonna be examining different questions about Macbeth, and I'm gonna be asking Maya and Sarah, my guests, that they're about Macbeth, and they're gonna be answering questions. Our first guest,
Hey y'all, I'm Sarah.
second guest, Maya.
Hey y'all, I'm Maya.
Now on to my first question. So, in the play Macbeth, Marxism is appeared in several actions caused by the subject. However, what is the historical, cultural, and political system portrayed?
So, we all know the famous play Macbeth written by Shakespeare. One thing that I honestly really liked about this play was the fact that it was one of his only plays that was set in Scotland. Well, one of his only plays, the only play that was set in Scotland. And the more you read into this play, you see that this play is set in the 11th century in Scotland, which is also now identified as the United Kingdom, which is pretty cool. And then as you read into the acts, you'll see that a couple scenes are also set in England, which is pretty cool to me. So we learned that Macbeth is the main character, and he regened over Scotland for about 17 years, from the years 140 up until 157. As mentioned before, this is the only play ever set by Macbeth in Scotland. And reading this play, you would understand that the cultural system portrayed in it could be identified as the culture of Western Europe, so more in England, so like more of Macbeth's time. And I'd say, as someone who's read Shakespeare, I can say that he's written this play in the English dialect, like the British English dialect, if that makes sense. And this would also relate back to the fact that he is a British man, so it like adds up and makes sense. What we also know is that at the time in England, their political system was based as a monarchy, which means kings and queens ruled kingdoms or even the empires. So you learn that in the play there's no real government, and we're presented to King Duncan. So he's the first king that we see, and when his throne is taken away from him and he's basically tossed out of the play, the next king that we're presented to is Macbeth. And you kind of see how he felt with the power of basically being in a monarchy, and how the power really took over him. Fuck.
Yes, I find that really interesting. So, Macbeth is set in the 11th century in Scotland at the time, which is now the UK, like you mentioned. And you also mentioned that it is the only play ever set in Scotland, and that you really like that about it. And the cultural system portrayed in the play could be identified as the culture of Western Europe, more in England. And at the other time, since you read Macbeth yourself, you said that Macbeth wrote in a more British dialect, and that related to the fact that he is a British man. Finally, you mentioned that at the time, the England political system was based off of kings and queens who ruled kingdoms or empires, and Shakespeare related to that in his play by introducing King Duncan, who ruled the kingdom of Scotland. So I think this is really interesting, but I have another question. Who benefits in the society portrayed?
Yeah, so in Macbeth, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth really want to be king and queen, which means that they'll do anything to achieve that goal. This could mean that the king and queen benefit the most in this society. They would get the most privileges and probably respect. But really, we're not shown the lives of the other people in this play, like the civilians. And to be king and queen, they murder and plot and listen to witches to betray many people, even their friends. So I think the thought of being royal was worth all of those things to them. In the beginning of the play, when Macbeth is questioned about Duncan's death, he openly admits to killing Duncan's guards, and no one really seems to care or to even bat an eye at the situation that he killed that many people. They just seem to care about Duncan's death and no one else's, which means that they only care about the king and those who have more power. This really shows that they don't care about the lower class people. They really are focused only on the people with high class. Yeah, and even at the end of the play, when everyone has turned on Macbeth, his servants are stuck in the castle with him. They can't leave. Which means that the servers knew what Macbeth was capable of and knew that he killed many people, but they had no choice. They had to stay. Seems like the servants really don't have any free will because of their class. So, in this society, the ones who really benefit the most are either people in power or that are fully in charge, like the king, the queen, and the Scottish nobles. So, in the society, it really doesn't matter unless you have class or power.
Wow, I had no clue. I'm actually really surprised since I have never read Shakespeare or watched Shakespeare. So to summary, like, and what from what I understand from what you are answering my question to, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth have a desire to be king and queen, and they were like ready to overcome every and any obstacle that comes in their way. And yes.
Yeah, basically, that's pretty much it. And thank you for having me and Maya. Hope everyone learned something listening to this.